Trust is an important part of business. It is one of the benefits smaller organizations reap better than any global conglomerate. When you buy something from a local store, you know who you're buying it from, and any problems that arise are expected to be handled locally. This is why many consumers shop at local establishments. They believe they can trust that business more than others. On this episode of Privacy Notes, we'll discuss how drawing from this trustworthy local business model can help when developing privacy awareness within an organization. Urena Okone of Tax Tech tells us more.
Welcome back to Privacy Notes, the podcast. We are on episode 6. I am Urena, and this podcast is brought to you by Tax Tech, the licensed data protection compliance organization, in collaboration with the NDPR Academy, the data protection training and certification arm of Tax Tech. Today, we would be discussing about building trust through data privacy awareness. That's building the trust between the clients and the organization through the implementation of data privacy. We'll take a short break and we'll be right back. Okay, we are back. We're still discussing building trust between clients and organizations through data privacy awareness. And on this discussion, we'll be joined by Data Protection Associate, Chiedu, Data Protection Associate at Tax Tech. Okay, so we'll just run through what data privacy is and data protection just for starters. So data privacy and data protection will be used interchangeably during this discussion. And in a nutshell, it basically means protecting personal data. That's ensuring that the guidelines for the collection and processing of personal data are strictly adhered to. I'll just run through some statistics before we start. A recent survey by a global consulting firm revealed that 35% of respondents ranked trusting in brand among their top 3 reasons for engaging with a particular brand. This goes to show that earning the trust of your customer is a great way to win them over, to build a trust and sustain customer relationship. Another survey by a digital company revealed that 62% of individuals feel uncomfortable with how companies use their personal data. This also goes to show that once your client feels that you have violated the use of their personal data, such as the name, the address, the email address, and so on, they are not likely to do business with you. And surely no organization or business would want that. So as I earlier mentioned, Chiedu, a data protection associate at Tax Tech, will be joining us. Hi Chiedu, how are you doing today?
Hi, I'm fine, thank you.
Thank you for joining us on this podcast today, and we'll just be asking you some questions and we would like you to throw more light on it as regards data protection and building trust with data privacy with organizations and clients. Okay, so the first question I'll just be going with is, what is the importance of data privacy to an organization, and how do you think it can foster trust between the clients and the organization?
Okay, so for the first question, the importance of data privacy. The importance of data privacy to an organization is to foster safe conduct of transactions involving the exchange of personal data between clients and the organization, and also ensuring that Nigerian businesses remain competitive in international trade through the best practice safeguards afforded by the Nigeria Data Protection Regulation. For the second question, how do I think it can foster trust between clients and the organizations? Well, first of all, organizations have the responsibility to protect the client's personal data they have collected. So in order for them to foster that trust between themselves and their clients, they need to implement effective client data protection practices and policies, for example, a privacy policy. And these policies need to be revised regularly. As I mentioned before, the privacy policy, which is really important, is a policy that explicitly states what personal data you're collecting, how you plan on using that personal data, how long you plan on storing it. And this usage and storage should be adhered strictly to in order to build that trust between the client and the organization.
All right, thank you so much. We've seen the importance and how data privacy can, foster trust between the client and the organization. Okay, so for my second question, I'll just ask you, what are some steps? I know you earlier mentioned them, like the privacy policy, but aside privacy policy, what are some of the steps that you think organizations and businesses can take to incorporate data privacy measures in their operations?
Okay, so for some steps, I think the most important step would be training. Because, one of the issues that we tend to find is that when we ask most people, they say, we're not aware of data privacy, we don't know what data protection is. So training is really the basis, because if your employees are trained on data protection, you're trained on the NDPR, then do you know what data privacy is all about? You know how to protect personal data. They all start going back to their job roles and thinking of how they can revise the policies they have that govern the organization. They go back to their IT department and review systems they use in collection of personal data and ensure that these systems adhere strictly to the NDPR. Because, the NDPR talks about encryption of sensitive personal data, anonymization and things like that. So once you're properly trained and aware of data privacy, they go back and put steps and measures in place to ensure that the whole operations, the systems, the collection process, the storage, everything adheres strictly to the Nigerian Data Protection Regulation.
All right.
I think this is a major step. I think this is a step that covers so many other steps that I spoke about.
All right, thank you so much. You spoke about the importance of training your personnel on data protection as regards to the Nigeria Data Protection Regulation. And as you know, the NDPR Academy conducts data protection regulation quarterly trainings, and we already have one coming up in September. Surely you want to ensure that the trust between your clients and organization is really built well by training your personnel on this. So for my last question for today, what roles do you think a data protection compliance organization, that's a DPCO, what role do you think a DPCO would play in helping an organization and a customer build and maintain trust?
For the DPCOs, the DPCOs help companies comply with the NDPR and also ensure that they implement effective data protection compliance measures to safeguard the personal data of their clients. Under the NIDA implementation framework, it's list of services that a DPCO can provide, which includes data protection regulation compliance and breach services, data protection privacy advisory services, data protection training and awareness services. So all these other services that the DPCO provides, they in turn support and help the organization build and maintain that trust they have with your clients, because the organizations can go and say that we adhere strictly to the NDPR, we've put these security measures in place, we've put these breach measures in place to protect your personal data. At the end of the day, this fosters trust between them and builds it.
All right. Thank you so much for this, Chido. So that'll be the end of our session for today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Irina.
Yeah. Okay, we are back. I'm sure you enjoyed that session by our data protection associate, which was highlighting why you need a data protection compliance organization to help build the trust between the client and the organization. So if you'd like to build and maintain the trust between you and your clients by having effective data protection compliance measures, why not reach out to us at TaxTech? We are a licensed data protection compliance organization. Do drop us an email at contact@taxtech.com.ng or visit our website www.taxtech.ng. Or if you would like your personnel to be trained on data protection measures, then you can just send us an email at info@ndpracademy.ng, or you can visit our website www.ndpracademy.ng for more information. Recall on episode 4 of Privacy Notes, the podcast, we spoke about NIDA's guidelines for the management of personal data by public institutions. And one of the key points we spoke about during the discussion was that NIDA has mandated all public institutions to appoint a senior level officer who would act as the data protection officer for the public institution. And the deadline for that is August 16, 2020, which is less than 2 weeks away. All right, I just thought to do that reminder for you. Now, this appointed data protection officer must be trained on data protection compliance within 90 days of their appointment. Remember that the NDPR Academy has trained and certified over 200 individuals on data protection compliance, in Nigeria. You can just reach out to us and we will help you with your data protection compliance measures. Till next week, this is Privacy Notes, the podcast brought to you by TaxTech and the NDPR Academy.
Join us on another episode of Privacy Notes from TaxTech.